Hey, if you've been thinking about buying a new EV right now, or maybe even contemplating buying a second new EV right now, you might want to think again because buying a new EV right now could be a costly mistake. And I say that because I actually made that mistake probably 6 months or so ago, and I now realize what I should have done instead. I should have bought a used EV. Now, hear me out. The EV market is, I think, in a very unique and probably temporary situation right now for a number of reasons, but the stars seem to have aligned in such a way that kind of make it an absolute no-brainer to buy a used instead of a new right now, at least in the EV market. And here's what seems to be going on. Because EVs are still relatively new to the market, there remains a lot of caution among the buying public about the long-term viability of EVs. And after all, next to buying a house and possibly paying for a college education, buying a car is probably the most substantial financial commitment that most people are going to make. And so, quite understandably, people want to be very sure that the new car that they're going to be buying is going to last a very long time. And we've all heard about the lithium battery capacity and how it degrades over time. There's just no really getting around that. It's basic physics and chemistry. And when you combine that concern with the fact that battery packs on EVs are the single most expensive component on that car, it's not really surprising that a lot of people are taking a wait and see approach to get a better feel for how long these batteries are actually going to last in the real world before plunking down 50 or 60 or $70,000. And this buyer caution is certainly having an impact on the new EV market, and I would say it's having an even more substantial or profound impact on the used EV market. And again, for a variety of reasons, but not the least of which is the known fact that an EV's battery rate of degradation can be directly affected by how the car is charged and driven. And when you're buying a used car, you don't really know how the previous owner treated it. So having said all that, why on earth would I recommend buying a used EV right now? Well, I'm glad you asked. So let's start with the fact that we actually do now have some reasonably long-term data on how well EV batteries are holding up over time. And it's become pretty clear that battery degradation is not turning out to be the big Achilles heel for electric cars that people have been most worried about. For example, check out this Road and Track article. This is from over a year ago. There's a chart published there using data from Tesla Model S and Model X EVs, mostly because those are the two models that have been on the road for the longest. And that data shows from real data that after even 200,000 miles, these battery packs in these cars are retaining nearly 90% of their original range, and they're still going strong. Also consider that the tech around these batteries has continued to improve over the past decade, helping to ensure that we're going to be getting the maximum usable lifespan out of these battery packs. And the EV manufacturers are pretty well aware of this now, and so most of them are actually offering 100,000 mile warranties on their EV batteries, warranting them to retain at least 70% of their original rated range after 100,000 miles in order to try and alleviate that buying public's concern. But the reality is that while more and more people are choosing to take a chance on a new EV year over year, this increase in demand hasn't benefited the used EV market, which is currently definitely a buyer's market. And so people who are selling or have to sell their EVs right now, for the most part, are taking a huge depreciation hit since buying demand for the used EV is just not keeping pace with supply. And this situation is being further exaggerated by the changes in the EV tax credit that went into effect last year that dramatically reduced the number of EV models that actually qualified for that credit, unless you opted to lease the EV instead, which is a kind of loophole that a ton of people have taken advantage of. And now those leases are starting to expire, and those used EVs are hitting the used market at significant discounts due to the supply and demand situation that I just described. So right now you can actually find really great deals on used EVs that are only 1 or 2 years old with well under 30,000 miles for up to 50% off or maybe more of what that car would have cost brand new, compared to only maybe 8 or 20% off for a traditional gas engine car. As you can see here from my quick sampling of similarly classed and spec'd models in my area, and these are real numbers by the way. In fact, I actually took advantage of the current buyer's market just last month. I was able to buy a 1-year-old Volvo C40 Recharge with just slightly over 15,000 miles. I think it had 15.5. And I got it for just a little over $27,000. And this is a car that priced out at more than $58,000 brand new. So I paid less than half of what it would cost to buy that car new. And I still have over 30,000 miles of that bumper-to-bumper manufacturer's warranty and about 85,000 miles of battery warranty. And this is really not a unique deal. Now, in my case, I bought the C40 from Hertz Car Sales, and I probably had 7 Volvo C40s to choose from. But I could have also gotten a similarly good deal on a Mustang Mach-E GT, which was selling for about half of what we paid for my wife's new Mach-E, same model year, not even the GT version. But this used GT only had about 20,000 miles on it. Now, those Hertz deals are especially attractive right now if you can find the type of car that you're looking for, because Hertz overestimated the demand for EV rentals, and they're now trying to thin out their EV inventory in response to the actual demand that they're seeing. And while I don't regret that we bought that new Mach-E, because we absolutely love the car and we have no plans at all to sell it, I do think that if I had to do it all over again, there's no question I would have skipped the new EV and I'd have bought a 1-year-old with low miles off-lease EV and saved myself about 25,000 bucks. But to wrap up on this video, I'm definitely not saying that an EV, new or used, is right for your particular circumstances. You'll have to make that decision for yourself. And I certainly wouldn't suggest an EV, new or used, that would make sense for you if you don't have a place to charge it every night with inexpensive level 2 charging. Now, that said, if you do decide that an EV is right for you, it's really hard to beat the deals that you can find right now on used EVs with low miles. And how long is this used EV buyer's market going to last is really anyone's guess. But my guess is maybe another year or two, and then people are going to start realizing that with few exceptions, these batteries really do last the life of the car. And you're getting a car that requires very little maintenance while providing a much more enjoyable driving experience, for the most part, than most gas cars are going to be able to provide. Okay, I think that's a wrap. Do you agree with me? Am I crazy? Am I missing something? Let me know in the comments below. But hopefully you found something useful in the video. If you did, please consider clicking that like button for me. I'd very much appreciate that. Thanks for joining me for this video, and I do hope you'll consider joining me for the next one. Until then, have fun out there.